We are gathered here today to get through this thing called
life.
Hello.
Hello.
It's your girl D
And Key
from this thing called
life.
I'm going to ask a crazy question. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
He's giving us that look. Okay.
Yay. Okay. We are live. We want to ask those of you joining us if you would like and share. We are going to be actually having a phenomenal discussion with the young man that you see on the screen, Mr. Al Montgomery, the general.
Yes.
The general. So are you gonna start?
Right. Because I'm just gonna say that I probably about 3 years ago when we were over at the radio station is when I really first started, because we were talking about going, boots on the ground and being out in the community and doing things with our own group. And that's when I really first started hearing your name. But what has just absolutely blown me away is that I've heard your name in so many different circles of people. As long as it has something to do with the community, your name keeps coming up. And on one of the last shows that we did, Shane Shepherd, and you dropped in because they were talking about you, him and Note, they were talking about you, and you dropped in on the conversation, and they were just like, that's the guy, that's the man, that's the godfather to us all. So I'm like, okay. And I said to you then, and I don't think you ever responded, and I was just like, when you to us. So I think I finally got in contact with you probably about a month and a half ago, and I was like, hey,
yeah,
it's time for us to have this conversation.
Right.
So welcome.
Thank you very much.
And for those people who don't know, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Let me see. My name is Al Montgomery. I'm known as Al B. I was born and raised in 46218 Indianapolis, Indiana. One of the so-called worst zip codes to live in, one of the prime areas for bad things to happen and wonderfully bad things to come from. But I think that a lot of things from 46218, including myself, turned out pretty well. So,
Absolutely. So what, I guess, kind of inspired you and kind of got you on your with being the man the man behind all the men in this community?
That part.
Well, I'll say this. My love for my community has started and was instilled in me from my mother. Of course, I'm from a biracial marriage that wasn't looked upon very highly when my mother and father were together. So basically, I had to have an understanding from a very, very, very young age that I was different and that I was going to stand out. And it was up to me which way I wanted to take that in life. And because I chose to take a different path as a youngster, because certain doors closed to me that I wanted to be open, I basically came into an understanding that I had to give back to my community in a major way because I owe so much, and I wake up every day thinking of how I can pay back the community that made me who I am today, that instilled in me the good and the bad and all the things together that combined to make me who I am here today, and to be able to be blessed enough to have a voice that people actually listen to, you know, to be somebody that people can trust, to be someone that if people call on me, that I'll be there. And if I'm not there for them, it's definitely a reason why. I am willing to help anybody that's willing to help the community. I will offer my services and my support to anything that's a wonderful cause that's going on in our community, not just the 46218 area code, but all over the city, because I believe we shouldn't separate our city into places, even though it happens and it's on a daily basis, it goes down. But as a whole, we are a community. The city of Indianapolis and Marion County is a community, one big community, and we should all stick together. So anybody that does anything that's positive and needs some help, and I can help them in any way, I'm more than willing to do that. And I have done that, and I will continue to do that. And I think if there's a reason why people speak of me like that, speak of me highly, they also understand that I'm the type of person that's been through the negative side of the things that I'm talking about. And I've evolved back into the positive side, if that makes sense. My evolution process was one that took a lot of bumps, a lot of turns, a lot of curves, a lot of different things happened in my life than I ever had planned to happen. But I didn't let it cause me to fold. I accepted everything that I did. I accepted accountability for all that I've done in my life. And I am paid for the things that I did in my life. I'm still paying for things that I did in my life, you know, but at the same time, I'm able to help people. You know, the ultimate goal is, and what my mother has instilled in me from day one, is always never let anything, no matter good or bad, tarnish your heart. I raised you with love, and I raised you to be the type of man that will stand up for people, the type of man that people can depend on, the type of man that's going to be there for people. And your word means everything. So if you say something, you have to stand on that. So I've always been raised and taught to be a man first, stand on what I say, and be accountable for the things that I say.
Woo. There we go again.
Right.
Because that is there anything else? He preached the whole sermon, didn't he?
Just pass the collection plate.
Okay.
But no, seriously. Good evening, Annette. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. For me, personally, I am one that is always a proponent of
They froze on my phone.
our Black. We're frozen.
We're frozen now? Oh no.
I got you.
Oh, he
You're
can't
back.
hear us.
No, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay.
You froze. I lost you for a minute, but you're back.
Okay, I'm glad.
Okay, so if you
but I was gonna say, for me, I was gonna say that, you know, being a proponent of Black men, and you being, you know, multicultural, how has that affected? Because see, you know, if for some that may look at you, they may not see your different, both of your ethnicities wrapped in one. So how has that impacted your ability to move among the suits and the street?
You froze again, but maybe I could take off on that issue. Okay.
Okay, I think there's a delay. I think that's what part of the problem is. I think there's a delay. Can you hear me?
Okay. You guys froze. My daughter's telling me basically that you asked me how did my multiracial background impact the way that I've grown up and the way I live my life. Is that correct?
She asked me, can you hear her? Yeah, how it affects you being able to move amongst the suits and the streets.
Yeah, you're bubbling again. But I'll say, okay, from what I took from what you said, I'll say this. Being multiracial and being looked at, basically, if people look at me, a lot of people look at me through time and they've said, who's this white guy? You know, I get that still to this day. You know, my friends growing up, they always made jokes about it, you know, so I developed a tough skin very early in life because I grew up in the neighborhood. I grew up on 32nd and Bancroft on the east side. Shouts out to the bank, by the way. I was raised in a village, and nowadays our villages don't exist the way they existed when I was growing up. So this is one of the things that I really press on people is that we need to bring back the villages to raise our young kings and to raise our young queens, because a lot of these kids out here, like myself, go through things, you know, or they have differences that other people might not agree with, you know, or other people might not even understand. A lot of things are understanding. It's not necessarily the agreement part of it, but it's the understanding behind it. And in the time when I was growing up, being the way I am, multiracial, you know what I'm saying? My birth certificate says black. I've always identified with being a black man. I've never identified with that part of with that side of my family, you know? So I never had to worry too much about the differences because I was raised with an understanding of who I am and in the culture that I live in. Acceptance wasn't a hard thing for me because I'm an outgoing person. You know, I don't see a person when I meet a person as an enemy or a threat. I see people as people, and I take people for what they are. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your sexual preference is. None of that matters to me. The person that you are is what matters to me. And I think that people pretty much saw that throughout the years. But growing up, I did a whole lot of fighting. You know, I had to prove who I was. You know, you're not just gonna grow up over here in the hood and not be able to fend for yourself or stand for something. So I tell people this all the time. I was a known person in this city before the internet. I was a known person in this city before social media. I was a known person in this city when we had phone cords that were 15 feet long that went from the kitchen to the basement. You know, I was known in my community as a person that's going to stand up for my community. My voice has always been loud. My voice has always carried. I'm a bigger person, so maybe my voice does carry a little more than others, but I'm heard. And the reason why I'm heard is because I have an understanding of me as a man. I was taught by my father to stand up what you believe in and speak strongly and clearly. Leave no doubt with anything that you say and let people understand what you're saying. And never change yourself to fit into something else. Make the people around you fit into what you got going on. So me growing up with that understanding and me growing up in a village that loved me for me, not for the color of my skin, not for the lackness of my pigment, but just for me as a person, then they understood that and helped me grow up to be the person that I am. All the people on my 2-block radius, 3-block radius in my neighborhood, period. You know, all our parents were our parents. We didn't have mom and dad only. We had parents, like literally, like my best friend's mother and father was my mother and father. My other friend that lived 2 doors, their mother and father was mom. Everybody was mom and dad. There was no this, that, or other. It was always, hey, mom, hey, dad. So when you grow up in a time like that, when you have a lot of love in your community that you can feel, it's a different understanding and perspective of people in general. So me growing up like I was, I never had an issue with it, right? Because like I was bigger and I knew how to fight too. So that made a difference, you know, and it wasn't no shooting back then. We just fought. We knuckled up. You take a loss, you take a win or whatever, but you live to talk about it, you know, and I was blessed enough, like I said, to be able to throw these things. So I didn't have a whole lot of issues. Plus, I was very athletic. You know, I played a lot of sports and I was blessed to be well and good at playing sports. So that also helped, and it built a lot of bridges because back when I was growing up.
What just happened?
I don't know. Hello?
Sports. I'm sorry, my apologies.
Did we lose him?
Sports was the medium for connections that we made back then. You know, like we didn't have so many issues like the kids have today about, you know, what kind of clothes you wearing. You know, you got to have all the latest styles, you got to have the latest trends, because basically we only had a certain amount of stores to shop from anyway. So we all had the same type of things. It just, like I said, it just so happens that I was light skinned. I was pigmentally challenged, as I like to say. And it didn't stop me from being who I am and developing the person that I am today, and reaching out and making friendships and associations with people all around the city at a young age.
So tell us what you got going. Well, I'm going to say one of you said last night that was very profound to me was that when you do what you do, there are no cameras. You don't have to advertise. You respect other people and their what was it, right to privacy?
Their right to
There's no
privacy.
cameras.
Right.
There's none.
Right.
Right. So many people who they're doing good in the community, but they're doing it in such a way as to draw attention to themselves.
Froze.
So, I mean, just they talk about folks moving in silence, and then that is one of the things that I do commend you for. But what are you working on? What should we be looking out for? He froze. Did he freeze? Did I freeze?
I lost. I can't hear you.
What I'm noticing, because I'm actually watching the live feed, it's actually on his end. So
are you moving?
It may just be the reception in that area.
Maybe.
Because I'm watching the live feed.
It could be, our Wi-Fi in the hood is subject. So,
See, you know what?
That's that 46218 for you. Hey, I'm still here, and the Wi-Fi might not be
really?
the greatest, but yeah,
So you're still in the area that you grew up? Still in the area you grew up in?
Live a total of maybe, if that much, 1 mile away from the house that I grew up in.
Wow. That's commendable, because we have so many people that say, okay, well, they'll leave and then they'll give back,
but they don't.
But they won't come back.
See, this is what I did. I left and moved into a house in Oak Landon, so my kids could have a better opportunity in the sports that they were trying to follow. So I did move away from my area, but I always kept my home on Bancroft. My mom, she kept the house, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't ever an issue of me being away from the neighborhood or being out of touch because of latter reasons of not being able to come back to my neighborhood. A lot of people, what they do is, I think when you make it, or when you finally find a way to make it out of the hood, you tend to try to leave everything in the hood that you grew up on, or everything that you knew in the hood. You want to leave that behind and try to turn into another person. But what I never would do is, it don't matter where you go in life. You should never, ever forget where you came from and what made you, or what gave you the opportunities and the ability to even leave in the first place. So I've always had love for my neighborhood. I've always had love for my village, for all the elders in my village. I still go by and check on them to this day. I never will turn my back on 46218, ever. I just won't do it. It's not in me to do that, because that's the community that allowed me to do all the things that I've done in life. And it's also allowed me and showed me a way of being able to do more things by being in my community on a daily basis and talking to people that move in. People move in, move out all the time, but you have to get a gauge of the situation of where they're at in life and what they might need help with. That way, the things that you can help them with. Like I said, a lot of stuff like that goes on. People never hear about it, which they're not intended to. I don't do things for people for recognition. I don't do the things that I do to have somebody come up to me and say, hey, that was cool what you did. I mean, people understand and respect their privacy being kept. When people are at their lowest moment, they don't need to be broadcasted. They don't need to have their worst times broadcasted to the public. So when I say that I do my best to never put someone on any kind of camera when I'm helping them out, I do my best to never tell anyone's business when I do something for someone. That's one of the things I think that might make me or separate me or have me to the place where people feel the way they feel about me is because they know that if I do something for them, I'm not going to run to the 10 or 15,000 people that follow me on social media and say, hey, I just did this for such and such. You know, in my eyesight and the way I was raised, you're not doing that from your heart. You're doing that from your pocket. There's a difference in your heart and your pocket until you merge the two of them to do the right things. So if you're not merging the two of your heart and your pockets together to do the right things, they're separate entities and they should be treated as such. So my respect to the people that actually need help is the fact that I don't broadcast them needing help. You know, I'll tell people, say, hey, I'm giving away food, or I'm feeding 12 families for Thanksgiving, 15 families for Thanksgiving. I will do 20 families for Christmas. Inbox me their information. And that's as far as it goes to the public. You know, I don't speak on things I do online like that. I will never put somebody's name off into business or whatever. If I do something for an organization or whatever, I let them talk about it, not me. You know, I don't, because I feel like my blessings that I still receive on a daily basis, I'm more blessed than people could even imagine, for all the things that I've done and been through in my life to be where I'm at right now and be able to give back. That's the biggest blessing of all. You know, my evolutionary process has went from great to not so good to bad to better to even better to now pretty good. You know, and I'm not through. I still have levels that I want to climb to. And in order for me to achieve where I want to be in my life and make my last name mean something for generations to come in this city, I want to be able to put my imprint on it in a positive way. I want to be able to affect people's lives positively. I don't want the negative to take over. We have enough negative things to deal with on a daily basis. We don't need another person that people listen to constantly telling them negative issues and negative things going on. That's just not the right way to handle things. And that's not a loving way of doing things. So I don't take part in a lot of things. Right. I don't take part in a lot of things because I don't feel like the way that they're handled or the way that they're done have any positive results. So I just won't link myself to that. And a lot of things that I do feel like will have positive results, great results, and do great things, I'll link myself to that. I'll give them all the assistance and help that I can give them. I'll be there for them from start to finish, but I don't have to be in front of the camera. I don't really want to be in front of the camera. Y'all can have that. Just let me do the work. You know, let me do the work. Let me make the difference that I'm trying to make in my community, and I'm good with that.
Spoken like a true leader. That is why he has the respect of the soup and the streets.
Absolutely.
Point blank, period. Because, you know, what I've noticed is now, and what people oftentimes forget, it takes those people that are in front of the camera. It takes those individuals, but then it also takes those that are working behind the scene.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the ones that are working behind the scene are the ones that's grinding the hardest.
Yeah.
Ask your daughter to translate for and if you need to actually put device in front of you and have it low or plug into something and have an earbud, that's fine. That way you can actually hear what's being said.
I think he did. Oh.
But let's do this.
Okay. I got another way of hearing you guys now, so I can hear you.
Okay.
Now just turn it down a little bit for us.
I got another way of hearing you guys now, so. Is that better?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so now we're playing with power. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. Now we're gonna have an echo.
Yeah.
Do you have an earbud or a something that you can connect to it so we don't get the echo? This thing called life, ladies and gentlemen. This is,
Always.
life, technology, thankful that we have him.
Let's see how this
So
is gonna
whatever
work.
we need to get this message out, so be it. Now, while we're waiting on him to get set up, what we're gonna do is I want to actually take this time for those of you that aren't familiar with the show, ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that will be Key and D Life on this thing called Life on YouTube. But in order to find it quickly, you can go to bit.ly/TTCL for this thing called Life channel. If you are active on Instagram, you can follow us at Key and D Life. If you are to follow the show itself, you can follow us on this thing called Life on Facebook, and you can find us at bit.ly/Key and D Life. No surprise.
Yeah. We're Key and D Life all the way across the board. Absolutely.
And we encourage you to actually become our Facebook friend. And you can find us on Facebook.com at KEE.DEE.9465.
I didn't know that one.
Well, they wouldn't let us have Key and D Life for that one.
Yeah, I didn't know that one.
They wouldn't let us have the Key and D Life. The main page had it already, so they wouldn't share.
Okay, so
there's going to be a delay from what we say versus what he can hear. So we'll just have to give that pause.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They bubbling. Come here.
Yeah.
He heard himself.
We may end up going over a couple of minutes because of the commercial break, our intermission. So what I'm going to do, are we still here?
I can't hear you now through my phone, but I can hear you through this other one that's over here, crystal clear. But it's a little delayed. I think it's a 1 second delay or something between mine and yours.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you, what do you have that's coming up? I know you are very private with, who you actually assist, but do you have any community projects, or are you connecting to any community projects? Because the holidays are upon us and there's so many people that need help, and you may be connected to some organizations that would be able to help service some of our some of the people in the community. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say something now because I'm caught up to where I think you at. As far as me, what I got going on in the community, every day, like I said, is just a normal day for me in my community, and being able to help others. There are a lot of Christmas drives going on right now. I was going to have one myself this year, but there are so many going on already that we don't need to saturate the market with a whole bunch of places, because you get a lot of different places with a few toys or a few gifts when you can get one or two or three with a whole lot, so you want to try to kind of like band together at times like this to try to support others, to make them be able to do the things that they do for the community as well. So it's like, how do I say this? You don't want to be greedy with your community work, but you want to stay hungry with your community work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Myself, I will support anybody, like I said, that has some positive things going on. Myself, 2021 is going to be a big year for me. I'm claiming it. I'm speaking it into existence, that I will be steadily by the day trying to open my 46218 youth center up. That's my goal. I want to have a youth center for the kids in 46218 to go to. And I also want to be able to offer adult services, job training, expungement assistance. I want to be able to make people more felon friendly. I want to try to bridge the gap between the community and the police. If people have a better understanding that, I'm not going to sit up here and say that the police are all bad, because that's a bold-faced lie. There are some great officers. I grew up with some men that are police officers that their heart is as big as the badge that they wear, But because of the actions of a lot of officers, which I'm not the police, I've never had a good relationship with the police until recently. I've always been one of those anti-police brothers that just would rather keep them away. But speaking to some officers and seeing how some officers give back to the community in certain situations, and knowing that they're doing it from their heart and they're genuine, makes it a lot easier to gravitate towards them, and the way that they handle their beats and the way they handle situations that they go out on. They're the type of officers that can be respected, and the community doesn't see that. The community only sees these jerks that come around screaming loud, wanting to make everybody a criminal, even before they find out what's going on scenes. And that's what gives them such a bad reputation. Not only the fact that they use us for target practice, and that's another thing that I think that us as black men have to deal with on a daily basis, that people don't understand the amount of pressure that puts on you to not know if you're going to make it home at night. And being a black man wearing that target and making that target be even more enhanced with the recent activities that have happened in our city is not a good look. And it also is a very bad look for these officers. So if we as people in our community could shed these officers in a better light than what they get through public perception, through the news, through the things that some officers do that don't account to others, we can bridge that gap between it, and there won't be so much tension and animosity between the two. Because me, myself, like I said, I've never been a fan of the police. I don't work for the police. I don't work with the police. I'm not the police. I'm pretty much the complete opposite of the police. People know me. I'm a street guy. I've been a street guy my whole life. I'm going to continue to be a street guy. That's just me. I'm too old to get brand new. But what I do understand in the situation is, being where I'm at right now, in the position that I am right now, being able to speak to people the way I have the ability to speak to people, then I can make it a little easier to bridge the gap between the two. And I have to also keep it real with my people and let them understand that all these officers ain't good officers. All these officers ain't bad officers. You never know which one you're going to deal with till they get there. You just have to act accordingly. You can't step over bounds and expect them not to be scared. They scared too. Hell, they probably more scared than we are in situations, because they don't know if somebody gonna pop them. And with the way their counterparts been acting out here in the street shooting people, you can't blame them for thinking that way. So if we have to find some kind of way to build that bridge, if it's possible to even build, to make our villages strong again. Police officers used to walk through my neighborhood when I was growing up. They used to pull over and stop and talk to us when I was growing up. Even when I was out there on the block hustling back in the days, they would pull up and holler at us. Hey, what you got going on over here, LB? You staying out the way? Make sure you take care of these old people on this block, man. They need you. And they would pull off. But the fact that they stopped and talked, even knowing that we wasn't on the right type of stuff, it showed that, hey, they're human too. You do what you do As long as you don't hurt nobody, you ain't hurting nobody, you ain't doing nothing. But you make sure you take care of these people around here. And I think that's the point that's missing in our community, is because in every community in America, not just Indianapolis, in every community in America, you're going to have all different types of people doing all different types of things. And you're going to have all different types of reactions to whatever it is that those people do. But who are you to judge? Who are you to say what they need to do in their life situation to make it? Who are you to know who they're taking care of? How many people they have to feed? How many people look to them for the things that they have, for general necessities? How many kids are they making sure get to school every day and have a meal on their table and some soap and water to wash themselves up with? See, until you step into the shoes of somebody, you have no right to judge what a person is doing or what they've been through. Just because you've been blessed not to have to go through the same type of things that some of us have to go through doesn't mean you're above it by any means. Because at any given moment, the same thing can happen to you. Then you're going to be looking for the same thing that those people are looking for in that situation, just a little bit of sympathy and understanding. People know when they mess up. Trust me, they know when they mess up. But because you make a mistake, it doesn't kill you. It doesn't make you disappear. It just makes you have a better understanding of what you need to do to fix it and what you need to do to give back and make amends for those things that you messed up. And it gives you the heart and the soul to be able to do that. And that's one of the things I think, if you say that the suits respect me, is because I'm me 24/7. What you're getting right now is the same thing they get in those meetings. It's the same thing they get in those council doors. It's the same thing that they get out in the streets when we're holding vigils or doing something for the community. It's the same me. I'm the same me 24/7. I don't switch up when I get around certain types of people, because you're going to take me for what I am, which is a man that stands on what I stand on, or you don't have to take me, period. Because with or without you, I'm still going to make things happen the way I make them happen. I can do better with you, or I can do fine without you. So that's the choices that they make. So that's me speaking the way I speak and saying the things that I say and standing on the things that I stand on might be what make people have an understanding. And it also might be one factor in us street guys, or as they call us, hood dudes, being able to sit in the same room with these politicians now and try to figure out a way to make things work for everybody in all communities and all walks of life, to get back a little bit of balance in society. So if me being the way I am and speaking the way I am and standing on the things that I stand on and my beliefs, good, bad, or the other, not judging anybody from the bottom to the top and treating everybody along the way the same, is going to be what's going to help us get to where we need to get to talk to these people behind them doors downtown, then I'm going to be that. And I'll continue to be that until God calls me home. Because like I said, I'm too old to get brand new. I'm not switching up. I'm not going in. I'm not just being a yes dude. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. If you want to deal with me, you want to help me, fine. If you don't, I'm going to make it happen anyway to the best of my ability. If I can help you and you need me, fine. But if I can't help you, maybe I could point you to somebody that can. This is what I mean when you say you have villages. When you have villages, doors are open everywhere. You just might not have access to that door until somebody else gives you the key. But once they give you the key to that door, you have the ability then to open it and walk through as far as you want to go. So if I can give people the information, or if I can even lead people in the right direction in circumstances that I can't help them with, then I feel like I'm still doing the same job for my community that I would be doing if I did it myself, because I'm helping you achieve something that you're trying to achieve that you might not be able to reach, that I can.
Woo! Okay. Woo! That's all I can say. Because I mean, that was sermon number 2.
You sure? That was
Because he done dropped just all the knowledge. But that's why he is who he is. So when I put the myth, the Godfather, like that was because when you think about it, you think about the guys that we're talking about. We're talking about Boyd, we're talking about Note, we're talking about Shane Shepherd, all of these men who we know are doing good. This is what I look up to. And him speaking right now and the things that he has just said, it's fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Now, do you know of any, off the top of your head, any of the different drives that are ongoing to help those in the community?
I know that Lipstick Entertainment has a toy drive going on. She's good in the community. Ryan, I know her personally, been knowing her. She's a good friend of mine. I know she's doing a toy drive to help needy families. Northside Bar and Grill on Shaylin is doing a toy drive. Um, see, just there's, I think if I'm not mistaken, the 12 days of Christmas is coming up through the radio station. I'm pretty sure they're going to still do that again this year. And if I can't find too many more, then hey, it ain't nothing to it but to do it, to throw one together. You know, just say, hey, I'm accepting donations for needy families, for Christmas, for toys. You know, if you can give, fine. You know, I'll make sure that I get it to the children in need. I have plenty of families out here that I know of that would love to have help for Christmas. You know, and it's hard for a person to humble themselves enough to ask for help. So when somebody comes to you and asks you for help and it's genuine, then how can you be a human being and be in a position to even find them help, even if you can't help them themselves, and not do it? You know, we have to show some kind of compassion to our own. A lot of times we lose compassion within ourselves for our own people for a lot of different reasons, but we need to build that back up. To our community, we need to be able to have young girls out here not worried about being snatched up in vehicles, taken and sold. We need to have kids be able to play outside without having to worry about somebody driving down the street and randomly shooting them in the head. You know, we have to be able to have our parents out here that want to raise their kids properly be able to allow their kids to be kids. Kids aren't allowed to be kids anymore. Kids grow up way too fast. They're not having a childhood. You go straight from being a toddler to being a teenager. And that's not the way to go. And you go straight from being a teenager to an adult because of life situations and the things that life put in your lap. And that's not going to work. As long as we keep on having this cycle going on, it's just going to keep repeating itself. It has to be broken at some point in time. We have to allow our kids to be kids and stop putting them in adult situations and having them make adult decisions mentally and physically not able to do that in the right state of mind. It's not going to work. They're our future. They are me in the future. You know, they are Shane in the future. They are Johnny Grice in the future. You know, they T Hood in the future. These are the people that are going to speak up in the communities. These are people that are going to have a voice in the communities that people are going to listen to. And if you don't develop their voices at an early age, then they're going to fall into the cracks, or they're going to lose their drive to want to be something for the people that they're around, that love them so much, and the people that they love dearly. And they're going to have to continuously deal with the loss of life day by day by day. Somebody close to them losing their life to some stupid, senseless violence. You know, we have to be able to educate our children on how to love. We have to love. Everything starts at the home. I will say this, every problem that we have right now going on in society, and my idea, as far as the violence, as far as the neglect, as far as the kids being forced to be adults too soon, as far as the things that are allowed to go on in our city, it's because we're not loving at home. The kids are not loving at home. They're not feeling the love that we felt growing up. Their homes don't have the love in it that we had growing up, you know. And I'm gonna say this, kids nowadays, they ain't scared of their parents. You know, I was scared to death of my mother and father and doing something wrong and having to come home knowing I did something wrong and they gonna beat my butt blue. I was scared of that. Even when I got bigger and taller in stature than my parents, I still had that fear of them finding out that I was doing something I wasn't supposed to do. And whether it was in school, whether it was in the streets, wherever it was at, if I did something wrong and I felt like my parents was gonna find out about it, it scared me. I had that fear of my parents, even though I know physically they couldn't do anything to me. The respect that I had of the way that I was raised and the way that I was loved by my parents made me not want them to see me in a bad light. These kids nowadays, they could care less. They get in trouble. They know they ain't gonna do nothing but go home and play the video game. They gonna have their phones. They gonna have their friends over. There's no fear in their lives of their parents, you know. And I'm not saying all kids, because I know some kids and some parents out here that are wonderful, and their kids know better, and they're respectful, and they're being brought up with love. But the love is missing in so many situations nowadays, and that's a hard thing to get back. You know, we need more men in our community to step up and be men for these young men growing up. We need more women to reach out to these little girls out here and teach them how to grow up and be a respectable woman. You know, we need our elders and our older people to do for the children and for the youth today that they did for us growing up. We need that. That's what we need. So if people really want to help their community, it's not that hard of a thing to do. You just have to stand on what you're going to do. You have to say something, mean what you're saying, and put it into action and show people that you're serious about what you're doing. And trust me, they'll follow suit. You know, but you have to be about what you're about. You can't play with this. This is life. You know, and in real life, you can't play with life. You can't play with life situations. You know, and if you got somebody that's willing to help you, then you listen to them and you allow them to help you if you need help. If you got something that you see somebody doing and you want to step in and say, hey, I like what you're doing. How can I be involved? Get involved. Anybody that's out here doing any kind of work that denies somebody to come in and help them do the work that they're trying to do and have a genuine heart to do it, they're not doing the work themselves. And I'll say that, you know, but anyone out here that has a genuine heart for the community and is doing genuine work to try to help people in the community, they welcome the help from their community, because the more people that come in to help you is that many more people that are being reached by somebody that's genuine. Now, if you come in here with a false flag and your heart's not into it and you doing it for another reason, I understand you being turned away, because we don't need the negativity involved in what we're doing. But if you come in positive and you come in to genuinely help and have a genuine want for the betterment of life for our people, come on in. You're welcome. We need you. You know, our kids need you. Our elderly need you. You know, if we need people to stand up and speak. If people would be more boisterous and stand up and say how they felt about things, we could make a change. But we need the numbers. We need the people to actually care enough for the community and care enough for what happens to the community to step up and take a foot forward and say, okay, I want to help. How can I help? What can I do to make a difference? You know, you seem like you're on a path for trying to do the right thing. How can I assist you in what you're doing? How can you assist me in doing it? You know, either way, you know, just reach out. You gotta speak up and be about what you're about and reach out for it. It's here. It's here. We have plenty of organizations here that genuinely work, that genuinely have a love for the community and genuinely will help you and will accept the help that you offer. But you have to step up and be willing to help.
Now, honestly, being the fact that I grew up in the South, I grew up in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Indy about 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I am learning about the different organizations. Um, but what I'm noticing is you have, and I'm trying to find the best way to say it. You have some organizations that basically isolate themselves, where they don't really want to work with other organizations that have boots on the ground for real. And it's kind of disheartening.
We'll see
And I
what you.
want to know. Go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is there are a lot of different types of organizations. You know, people's initial statements of what they're trying to do with the organization speaks a lot about the organization itself. I cannot honestly sit up here and say that 95% of organizations out here that's supposed to be doing work for the city do it. I won't say that, because since I've been out here, you know, all the years I've been out here doing what I do, I can see a lot of them that don't. But then again, that's the same thing. It's not on me to speak on stuff like that. It's on people to see things like that for themselves, you know, and make their own decisions. You know how, like, when as a father or as a mother of a child, you know, your baby daddy or your baby mama ain't about the right, and your kids is little. Out of respect for your kids, you don't say nothing about they mama or they daddy that ain't right. You let them get older and see for themselves, and you let them develop their own decisions about how they want to treat this stuff. It's the same way with these organizations and with the city now. You know, a lot of things happen and don't happen. A lot of funds are transferred and untransferred. A lot of things go on in and out behind closed doors. A lot of things reach the public. A lot of things don't reach the public. But they have to live with that. You know, that's on them. They have to live with that. You can basically see who's out here doing the work, you know, because it's obvious. You can see who's out here doing what they need to do, you know, or you can hear about it, and you will hear about it. Because no matter what people say, if you do start doing the right types of things in your community, somebody's going to say something about it to somebody, you know, and it doesn't have to be you that says it. You know, don't toot your own horn. Let somebody else blow it for you. You know, they'll blow it louder.
Yeah, that's how I actually found out about Father Foundation with John Grice, Before You Fall with Shane Shepherd, you know, the Black Men's Group with Brian Carter. You know, there are, and it's been basically word of mouth from other individuals, like she was saying. But my thing is, like right now, we're doing our virtual learning. And we know the area that he's referring to is, like he was saying, challenge in a lot of areas. What can we do as a community to kind of help those children in that area to get the access to what they need so that they can get their education, because they're missing out, many of them are.
Basically, okay, I'm back on delayed again. I'm sorry. But basically, with the COVID being the way that it is, and situations being unsure from day to day, we never know what's going to happen the next day. Results are going up, you know, numbers are going up all around the country, all around the world. Our children are our future. Our children carry diseases quicker and easier than anybody because they put their hands on anything. They, you know, it's hard to get a child to consistently wash their hands or sanitize their hands if they're not used to doing it. It's hard to get a child to wear a mask consistently because it gets in their way. So to have virtual learning is, for a lot of people, it's a hindrance because people just can't do it. It's hard for single mothers. I'll just categorize them first. A single mother that has to work might not be able to put the time into helping their child do the e-learning. Does that make them a bad parent? No, not at all. It makes them a parent that's used to providing and being able to have help with someone teaching their child what they need to learn school-wise to make it in the world. So as a community, my suggestion has been this from day one. Now, you have all these churches, you have all these buildings that have all this space. You have all these kids in the community that have their own equipment. The schools are giving them the equipment they need to work on. They just need the place. They need one person or two people to walk around and be able to help them when they have a problem or more. So why not open these churches up? Why not open up these halls? Why not open up these places and allow 15 to 20 kids at each place, socially distanced, with PPE on, doing their e-learning in a school type environment with someone there that can help them when they have a problem? You know, this has been something that I've been saying since we started this. Places need to open their doors for their people. You know, you have things in your community that are supposed to be standpoints and supposed to be just naturally there for the community, and those are churches. When a lot of churches haven't opened their doors to these children, you know, it's not necessarily, like I said, it's not necessarily wrong, but as a community, I could see you opening up your doors and trying to help these kids in a time when they really need help, and you don't have to do anything but open your doors and allow them to use your space for somebody to come in and help them do their e-learning and them to be able to do it right here for a few hours every day. Now that would be my way of thinking. You know, but I think different. clearly. My thought processes work a lot different than most people because I actually analyze the things that I think about and I pay attention to everything. So me seeing the things that I see in my community, me seeing where we lack, and the easiest things to fix are the hardest things to make happen. And that's just dysfunctional to me because a lot of things that are wrong have an easy fix, but they have the hardest time making things happen to be able to fix them when they're all so simple. And that all falls back in the line of what I was saying about a community being a community. People reaching out for the people in their community instead of turning their back, opening up their doors instead of closing them in people's faces when they need you the most. This is something that's going to have to be a practice because it's gone on too long to just be an overnight change. Nothing is going to change overnight unless God opens up the heavens and say, wow, all good, and everything just whoosh. Now the chances of that in my lifetime is slim to none. But I'm just saying we have to make things happen for us ourselves. And in order for us to make things happen for ourselves, we have to open our minds a little bit more than what we normally open them. We have to be willing to step out of our normal comfort zone and be uncomfortable for a minute to help people be comfortable. It's just like it's not going to hurt certain situations to make things happen, but they just don't do it. So, like I said, my idea of helping these people would be to have mass sites all around the city that have open doors. Let these kids come in with their equipment and do their schoolwork with people there, educators there, college students there, anybody that knows the level of learning that these children are doing to help them finish what they need to get going so they don't lose a year or two along the way. Because a lot of kids with this e-learning are falling behind, a year or two behind, just because depending on how long it goes on and how many school years we have to go through this e-learning stuff, these kids are losing it. They're not learning anything. They're not. If they took a consensus of how many kids are actually doing well with e-learning, the numbers will be stupid low. And that's because they don't have people to help them, or they don't have a school-like environment. They don't have the peace of mind and the place to actually think and study. So we need to afford these kids things like that in situations like this. We need to open up doors. We need to offer our time to help these children. So that's my viewpoint of e-learning. I don't think it's a bad thing because it's keeping them healthy, but it's a bad thing because it's causing a lot of them to fall behind. And we don't need to fall behind. We're behind enough as it is. We don't need to fall no farther behind.
Absolutely.
Nestle, I agree with what you're saying fully and completely. But the only issue that I'm seeing is a lot of the churches don't even open for worship because they're fearful of spreading the virus. So my thing with that would be, like you were saying, those places that are Wi-Fi accessible, especially when you start talking about event halls and stuff like that, places that aren't being utilized right now. Is especially with the students being given the equipment, if we're able to get a lot of these places, like you were saying, to open their doors and then get the volunteers. And see, that's the piece of the puzzle.
But that goes back to, what seems like the simplest, most effective solution being the hardest thing to get accomplished.
Right.
Very frustrating. My heart goes out to, the parents and the children and everybody who's trying to do e-learning right now. I think that, but by the grace of God, there go I, because, mine finished, her senior year is when it hit. So, she was done before they really had to get into the thick of all of this. And I can't imagine. I really can't. I can't. I've seen her go and help other people, so I can't imagine not having what he's talking about as far as a place for them to go and to be able, because that is very frustrating.
Well, see, even from a collegiate standpoint, she's supposed to be in her freshman year,
having fun
and because of
on
COVID,
campus. Yeah.
on campus, but because of COVID, like everything has kind of been delayed. So, what I want to say to you, Mr. Al, is I appreciate you. You know, it is good to finally put a face with the name that we've heard about, you know, like just for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you are authentic with what you do for the community.
Absolutely.
It shows. And for those people who want to help you and be a part of the project that for the actual community that you live in and that you are trying to serve, what can they do? How can they contact you?
I'm available. They can reach me on social media. You know, a lot of people reach out to me on social media, or my number's been the same for 25 years. So, you know, pick it up, get it, call me, text me. Everybody knows somebody that knows my phone number. So get it from somewhere. Just say, hey, Albie, you know, I like to be a part of what you got going on. I want to give back to my community and I want to help. How can I help? And we can find some way to fit you in and get you back into community service and helping you help your community and help, you know, help the people that need help in your area, specific area that you may live in, you know. So, because we do have a network here in the city, you know, like I said, I'm blessed to have a lot of friends. They run a lot of different organizations. They run a lot of different places that can help people. So that's one of the reasons why I'm blessed to have those contacts that I can help people with, even if I can't help them myself. I can maybe lead them in the right direction to get help for whatever their situation is. All they have to do is just ask. So if you want to help, if you want to be a part of this, be serious about what you're doing, mean what you're saying, because the community needs positive people. We need positive, strong people. We need people that want to work. We need people that want to, you know, inhibit change. And we need people that are going to stand up for what they say they are. You know, and if you fit any of that criteria, whether you got a felony, whether you out here in the streets, whether you up there in the office building, wherever you at, no judgment this way. I want to link everybody together because everybody can get together and work for a positive cause, which is trying to help our community and our city get back to the way we were, get back to the things that make us great, get back to the reasons why people migrate here, you know, get back to the reasons why people make families here and raise families, you know, and start traditions and help people's names hold value for the future generations. You know, I want my grandkids and great grandkids to say, you know, hey, my papa was the man. You know, he made stuff happen. You know, he made changes around here for us. You know, that'll probably be my biggest reward was when my mama said she was proud of me. You know, and I think to actually hear that, that just solidified what I'm doing out here and made it all much more important for me to go ahead and finish doing what I'm doing, because she said she always wanted this for me. And she felt like she lost me to the streets early in life. So to hear her say that she's proud of me and everything that I'm doing, and she loves the man that I have evolved into and the father that I am to my children and the friend and the family member that I am to the people around me and the man that I am for my community, can't nobody steal that joy. I'm sorry. So I'm in it to win it. I'm going to be here. Like I said, my phone is always open. If anybody needs any advice, if you just need somebody to listen to, if you need somebody to talk to, if you're going through something, people don't respect my 24-hour day code anyway. So it's on 24 hours a day. My phone rings all through the night with problems, with issues, with people that want to talk. I don't sleep a lot. My body don't require it anymore. So reach out to me. If you need help, reach out to me. You know, just reach out. Just reach out and we can make it make sense.
And with that, we are going to end this segment of this thing called life. We appreciate you. We thank you. And we look forward to hearing more about the things that you're doing behind the scenes.
Thank you, ladies, for having me on your show. I appreciate you allowing me
And you have
to have outlet to, to get to people and try to reach people. I appreciate that more than what you know.
well, thank you. And this won't be the last time that we connect. So
Anytime.
until later.
Yes.
All right, until this time next week. We ask that everyone stay safe. Everyone turn around and make sure that you do what you need to do to protect you and those that are around you. Because coronavirus is real. It is real. And until then, take care.
Bye.
We are gathered here today to get to this thing called
life.
It's been my phone.